June 1945, when Allied investigators scoured the archives of the German armaments industry, they uncovered a fact that completely defied their expectations about Nazi military priorities. The Third Reich's most produced armored vehicle was not the legendary Tiger, whose name terrorized battlefields, nor the reliable Panzer IV that dominated the early German campaigns. It was the Sturmgeschütz III, an assault gun without a turret that many considered merely a bunker destroyer. With over 10,500 units manufactured between 1940 and 1945, this seemingly secondary vehicle represented a silent revolution in German military doctrine. But why did Germany invest so heavily in a machine that seemed to contradict its own philosophy of lightning war? The answer would reveal not only a fundamental shift in German strategy, but also the genius behind one of World War II's most effective designs. What the Allies discovered in the Alkit archives would forever change our understanding of how Germany truly fought its war. The story of the StuG III began in 1935, when then-Colonel Erich von Manstein presented a revolutionary proposal to the German General Staff to create specialized assault artillery units for direct infantry support. Manstein argued that conventional tanks, designed for exploitation and maneuver, were unsuitable for destroying enemy fortifications. On June 15, 1936, Daimler-Benz received the order to develop an armored vehicle based on the Panzer III chassis, but with a crucial difference. It would not have a rotating turret. This seemingly limiting decision was, in fact, brilliant. Without the mechanical complexity of a turret, the vehicle would be cheaper, faster to produce, and would have thicker frontal armor. The first prototype, tested in 1937, measured 22.5 feet in length, 9.7 feet in width, and weighed 52,690 pounds. Its top speed of 25 mph and range of 96 miles made it suitable for accompanying infantry. But there was something deeper in this decision. The Germans were anticipating a different kind of war than they had initially planned. The StuG III's first baptism of fire occurred during the Battle of France in May 1940. Equipped with the short-barreled 75 kW K37L24 gun, the StuG III OSF immediately demonstrated its effectiveness against French fortifications. Obergefreiter Hans Müller, operator of one of the first StuGs, wrote in his diary, "Our assault gun destroyed 3 bunkers in Sedan in less than an hour." The French infantry simply had no answer for our 2-inch frontal armor. During the French campaign, StuGs destroyed over 400 fortified positions with a loss rate of only 6%, an impressive number for a vehicle in its first combat. But German commanders noticed something unexpected. The StuG III was not only effective against bunkers. Its low silhouette of just 7.1 feet in height made it difficult to detect, and several commanders reported unexpected successes against French tanks. This accidental discovery would plant the seed of a transformation that would completely change the vehicle's role. The invasion of the Soviet Union in June 1941 exposed a brutal reality that German planners had not fully anticipated. Soviet T-34 and KV-1 tanks technically outclassed many German armored vehicles, and the vastness of Russian territory demanded a different approach. The StuG III, initially relegated to a support role, began to be used more and more creatively by field commanders. Its low height allowed for effective ambushes, and its frontal armor resisted Soviet 45 guns. Hauptmann Friedrich Vollmer, commander of the 177th Assault Gun Battery, reported in December 1941, "We found that our StuGs can destroy T-34s if positioned correctly. Their low silhouette allows us to attack from positions a Panzer IV could never use." This tactical adaptation was not official. It was pure improvisation born of necessity. But the results were undeniable. StuG III units began to record kill numbers that rivaled the best German tanks. In March 1942, the reality of the battlefield forced a decision that would completely transform the StuG III. The OSF F version was equipped with the long-barreled 75 StuG K40L43 gun, the same weapon that equipped the more modern Panzer IVs. This modification increased the weight to 54,010 pounds, but the penetration capability dramatically increased. The new gun could pierce 3.4 inches of armor at 1,640 feet away, enough to destroy any Soviet tank of the era. Oberst Walther Derwenger, inspector of assault artillery, observed, "We are no longer building assault guns. We are building tank destroyers. This transformation was not just technical, it was philosophical. The StuG III had evolved from a support weapon into an armored predator. Its production was immediately prioritized, and German factories began producing more StuGs than any other armored vehicle. The war had changed, and the StuG III changed with it. The Battle of Kursk in July 1943 marked the peak of the StuG III's effectiveness as a tank destroyer. Positioned in carefully chosen defensive positions, StuGs took advantage of their low silhouette to ambush Soviet armored formations. Unteroffizier Klaus Becker, a veteran gunner, described the experience. We saw the T-34s advancing across the plain. They couldn't detect us until it was too late. Our first shot was almost always fatal. During the 9 days of battle, StuG III units recorded some of the highest kill rates of the war. The 244th Assault Gun Brigade destroyed 165 Soviet tanks while losing only 12 StuGs, a rate of 13.71. But Kursk also revealed the concept's limitations. Without a rotating turret, StuGs were vulnerable to flank and rear attacks. This vulnerability would force yet another evolution in design and tactics. From 1943 onwards, StuG III production reached numbers that reflected Germany's desperate situation. While the production of heavy tanks like the Tiger was limited by resources and complexity, the StuG III could be manufactured quickly and in large quantities. The Alkit factory in Berlin produced up to 180 units per month, more than all other German tank factories combined. The production cost of 82,500 Reichsmarks was 40% less than a Panzer IV and 70% less than a Tiger I. This economic efficiency was no accident. The turretless design eliminated thousands of complex components. Generalmajor Walter Nering, responsible for armored production, admitted in his memoirs, "The StuG III became our lifeline. When we couldn't produce enough tanks, we produced StuGs." This growing dependence revealed an uncomfortable truth. Germany was losing the production war, and the StuG III was its pragmatic response to this reality. The final and most produced version, the StuG III OSF-G, incorporated all the lessons learned in 4 years of combat. Introduced in December 1942, it featured 3.15-inch frontal armor, improved side protection, and the powerful StuG K40L48 gun. At 56,220 pounds, it was the heaviest in the series, but maintained essential mobility. Crucial innovation was the addition of an MG-34 machine gun mounted on the roof for infantry defense, a direct response to Soviet tank hunting tactics. Feldwebel Ernst Hoffmann, a 3-year StuG veteran, noted the difference. The OSF-G was a completely different beast. It could face any Allied tank on equal terms. More than 7,720 OSF-G units were produced, representing 73% of all StuG III manufactured. This final version demonstrated how a seemingly simple design could continuously evolve, incorporating improvements based on real combat experience. The StuG III did not remain exclusively German. Finland received 59 units between 1943 and 1944, using them against Soviet forces during the Continuation War. Majori Ragnar Nordstrom, a Finnish armored commander, reported, "Our German StuGs were superior to any Soviet armor we faced. Their reliability in the Arctic climate was exceptional." After the war, several countries continued to operate StuG III. Syria used examples against Israel until the Yom Kippur War in 1973, 28 years after the end of World War II. Spain operated StuGs until 1967, and Bulgaria kept some in service until the 1950s. This operational longevity demonstrated the fundamental soundness of the design. A vehicle conceived in 1936 remained militarily relevant 3 decades later, adapting to different doctrines and climatic conditions around the world. When the war ended in May 1945, the StuG III had set a record that no other German armored vehicle would achieve: 10,619 units produced, surpassing even the iconic Panzer IV. Even more impressive was its effectiveness rate. German records indicate that StuG IIIs destroyed approximately 20,000 enemy armored vehicles during the war, an average of almost 2 kills per vehicle produced. Generaloberst Heinz Guderian, father of German armored troops, wrote in his post-war memoirs, "The StuG III proved that simplicity and effectiveness outweigh complexity and prestige. It was our most successful armored weapon." This assessment was particularly significant coming from Guderian, a traditional proponent of conventional tanks. The StuG III had forced even the most conservative German strategists to rethink their conceptions of armored warfare. The true significance of the StuG III transcends production numbers or combat statistics. It represented a fundamental shift in German military philosophy, from offensive lightning war to pragmatic and economical defense. Its design directly influenced the development of post-war tank destroyers, from the Swedish S-tank to modern self-propelled artillery concepts. Today, preserved examples in museums around the world serve as silent testimonies to an era when German engineering transformed necessity into innovation. The StuG III proved that, sometimes, the most effective solutions are not the most glamorous, but those that perfectly balance capability, economy, and practicality. In a war that consumed resources on an industrial scale, Germany's most produced armored vehicle was also the most sensible, a lesson that resonates even today on modern battlefields, where efficiency and adaptability often outweigh brute power and technological complexity.